Welcome everyone to the PYRESWAP show, and today's a turtleneck day, just to be clear. And we are still on this incredibly good camera. Wow, I'm blown away by how good we are on the camera. And today, I want to be clear. Today we're going to be shooting the video copy. Yeah, amazing Dwayne The Rock Johnson picture with a turtleneck. Yeah, I have a black one too, but we're going to go with blue turtleneck and a black blazer today to really just to look as much as possible like a James Bond villain, if that makes sense. I think that's probably the aesthetic that people want to see. I'm kidding. But I am actually going to, we're going to do a shorter show today because I'm going to go get a haircut right now. Make sense? Go get a haircut right now because we're going to shoot the video copy for how to tell when to sell today. We're going to do 3 versions of it with a teleprompter and everything. One for Pyre Phantom, one for Pyre AVAX, one for Pyre B&B. And then we're going to have 3 video files. We already have the images for them. We already have the Discord screenshots for the video copy as well, if that makes sense. And thank you to all of you guys who contributed. By the way, today is Thankful Thursday. So for everybody who ended up in a screenshot, which I think is a lot of you guys, at least on here listening right now. For those of you who ended up in a screenshot, yeah, your contribution to our social proof is welcome and appreciated. Because what we have on the text copy, which, by the way, we might have the first one ready today as well. We might have a howtotellwhentosell.com for Pyre B&B. That one might be ready in a few hours. And I would say probably within 24 hours, we might have all 3 ready in the maximally available usage, meaning all 3 tokens with the videos embedded on them, if that makes sense. Because I got to basically do the same narration. We have a newer script, but I'm going to use it on a teleprompter. We have a teleprompter, by the way. And so badass camera, teleprompter, like optimized copy. And we already built the Twitter card for it this morning. So basically the Twitter card, what that means is it's what the image shows when you drop a link on Twitter. Does that make sense? So legitimately, it looks like this. You know, and then down here is like the metadata, right? Like metadata. But up here it says, you know, how to tell when to sell. I'm just doing it shorthand. And then write crypto profits without crypto panics. And then we write here, it's like 7-minute read. And then we have like the video length, which I think is like 8:12. We have no idea what the video length is because we haven't shot the video yet. So I'm going to make a new card when we know the actual video length. Anyways, so the point being is that yeah, we'll have that card up there, and then because it looks so very little like an ad, and it looks so very much like a Medium article, we are in fact. Anyways, we have that done today. And we have the all of the Discord screenshots have now been compiled and created. So the point being is that we have 20 Discord screenshots going in the copy total. 20. So we have 10. The first batch, first batch. We'll call this like project praise. Does that make sense? And then the second batch is Discord praise. Does that make sense? Arguably, they sometimes touch a little bit on both. So in some of the Discord praise social proofs, some of it is like people asking questions and getting answers. So I want to say one of them is like Abolito is asking Alessio a question about about meeting or something, but Alessio is just giving him a good answer. So we're giving social proof right on the website of like, hey, people are asking questions and getting answers right here in the chat. Does that make sense? Because we have 8 bullet points for how we advertise the Discord as well. Does that make sense? Make sense? And yeah, and I hope you guys conceptually understand what I'm talking about. But generally speaking, the entire point of this is to literally bridge the gap, which is what? Why is this project ineffective on Twitter? That's literally the problem. Does that make sense? The project's marketing, promotion, etc. is ineffective on Twitter. We effectively now kind of have to add something that's kind of compiled to Twitter to fix that. But arguably, it's quite easy to do because Twitter, by the way, Twitter has its own scripting for cards. So when you drop a link everywhere, most things use something called Open Graph. And Open Graph is like the thumbnail they show, and the metadata. But Twitter has an even bigger one. So Twitter is, yeah. Anyways, yeah, I think you guys will understand soon why this will be different. And additionally, from these new websites existing, we'll have much better analytics on, like, okay, if you've ever dropped a link to this, to the website, or if you've ever dropped a link to this Discord on Twitter for whatever reason, we don't have like a separate, like, you don't have like a separate idea of like where that traffic is coming from. So by isolating this step, our analytics get smarter. Does that make sense to you guys? Because let's say I'm gonna write an announcement. I don't know if it's gonna be today, because for those of you who don't know, I live in North America and the front end developer lives in Russia. In fact, he lives in Russia east of the Caucasus Mountains. So we're on very different schedules. So it might be tomorrow that everything is finally compiled and ready to be published. So it might be tomorrow, and I'm gonna write an announcement in all 5 servers, and I'm gonna give it out. I'm gonna give like brief instructions on how to use these. And basically, let's put it this way. Imagine this. Like in the first week, if we had 5 people, like not even talking about official Twitter ambassadors, but I'm talking about 5 people like Alessio or anybody else who's on Twitter. I know like Javery, Electronic, I don't know. Again, yeah, like people who don't have huge followings on Twitter, like less than 500, less than me, even myself, right? Even myself. If we had 5 people posting it in 5 replies, does that make sense? A day. So if we had like 5 people posting it as a reply, does that make sense? As a reply 5 times a day, we would have, like in our hosting analytics, we would be able to see the traffic just on these websites as something separate than PYRESWAP.com or PYRESWAP.finance. Does that make sense? And arguably, I bet if we had this posted, again, 5 times people, like 25 places a day, it might have like, again, over 10,000 visitors a day. Does that make sense? Like people legitimately coming, watching the video, or actually scrolling down and reading all the text. Does that make sense? It's only a 7-minute read, right? It's only 7 minutes. And of course, it solves a gigantic problem, right? Which is how to tell when to sell. It's like 19 pages of text, but only like the last 2 or 3 actually are the ad. Does that make sense? Like the rest of it is meant to just drive a whole bunch of value to the user, which is again, teaching them a little bit about themselves, teaching a little bit about fundamental analysis and Martin's Weave. Make sense? Which is kind of like the solution to their problem. So everything about marketing and advertising, this thing is highly, highly aligned with. And I think, like, I just never been more bullish about something we can do to market this project that other people aren't doing already. Exactly. I think I actually have seen click-through pages for crypto here and there, but it's often like getting into a trading group or like getting into like, does that make sense? Right? So arguably, we're kind of doing what already works, but people don't realize that we're doing it this way. And I think that this is going to be the way that we effectively funnel people from Twitter back to Discord. Does that make sense? To make Discord great again. I hope it makes sense. Anyways, so again, let's see. We're about 10 minutes into the show. I'm probably going to make this show short because if I can make this show 30 minutes shorter, that's 30 minutes I can go get a haircut. That's 30 minutes I can get the teleprompter connected, et cetera, et cetera. And by the way, Bitcoin broke 100 grand, so crypto is not going away anytime soon. This is also useful for our DEX because we carry the number 1 Bitcoin liquidity, right, on all of the Phantom Opera. I believe we still have that claim. So again, we have the most Bitcoin liquidity on Phantom Opera, always a plus. I'm thankful for my teammates today because like I realized that I could not do it without them. I just could not do it without them. Yep. I'm thankful for everyone who does the smallest bit extra for this project. The smallest bit extra. Whether that smallest bit is like saying GM in the chat, which I literally probably believe is is like just doing that consistently like helps so much, to be honest. Yeah, just to be clear. And yeah, today is my dad's birthday, who is deceased. And I want you guys to know that, like, for those of you who don't know my life story, like my earliest memory of my dad is, I I'm like 3 or 4 years old. Like, this is the first lesson my dad taught me. Did I ever tell you guys this story? Who here has heard this story? Okay. So I'm like 3 or 4 years old, and like my dad is coming home during the workday, and I don't go anywhere, right? I'm like 3 years old. So if I'm going to a daycare, I have no idea, but I definitely get home before him. Does that make sense? And my mom is watching me, and I have a younger brother, but he's probably like an infant, and I'm bored because I'm a toddler, but my dad is home now, so I'm gonna go play with him whether he likes it or not. Does that make sense? So my dad had this stationary desk. It was like right inside the front door when you got into the house. And this was in New Jersey, United States. And my dad, as he walks in the house, he starts emptying his pockets into this stationary desk. It's like 2 drawers, and then it's got some cabinets. But he's emptying stuff from his pockets because he doesn't want to carry it. And it's like, this is where he looks for random stuff that he has in his pockets, right? And he has like loose money. He has like a loose bill. I don't know if it was $1. I don't know if it was a 20. I don't know what it was at all. I want to say it was a single US dollar. And I think it actually might have been a 20. Because when he took it out of his pocket, like, I noticed as a toddler looking up at him, because I'm like this tall and he just towers above me. He's like 3 times my height or whatever. And I could tell by the special reverence and kind of respect he gave for it that it was important. So since I'm down here trying to get his attention, and he's trying to like, he's still telling me like, wait a second, I see that he puts the dollar and like he folds it and he puts it in like a specific corner of the drawer. Now, I'm not tall enough to see over the drawer, but I'm smart enough to figure out that like where he put it, I can reach over with my hand and snatch it. Does that make sense? Because I can see the object, I can probably guess what it feels like. Make sense? So the first thing I do when I see it is like I see that he pays attention and I snatch it and I crush it inside my little fist and I start sprinting across the house, right? Like, so I'm just, for me, the living room is like the size of a gymnasium at the time. So I'm just like running, on the couches and around the fucking furniture and stuff. And then I run into the closet. And this is the point where my dad is now chasing me because I basically just ganked him for $20, right? So he's not going to let a toddler get away with that. So he basically starts chasing me. He chases me and he catches me and he catches me, right? And then he pins me and he pins me. He's laughing. So yeah, my dad doesn't like put a cigarette out on my forehead or anything here. To be clear, this is not a bad story. But he wrestles a bill from my little, my little fist, and he shows it to me, and he says this. He says this is not a toy. This is never a toy. This is a tool. That's what he said. This is not a toy. This is a tool. And like he showed it to me, and he like waved it in my face like this. This is not a toy. This is a tool. Like specifically, and I don't remember anything about that, but this is like the first like verbal lesson I can remember at a certain age. This is not a toy, this is a tool. So this is like my dad teaching me about money. This is like the first lesson I learn or remember him teaching me. Then, many years later, I'm a teenager. I want to say I might be 17, 18, or 19. And my parents are divorced, and we're still back in New Jersey, but my mom now lives in Florida or whatever. And as a teenager, like my dad is now... I guess he was in his 50s at the time. And anyways, he likes documentaries. He likes some very interesting documentaries. So he puts a documentary on, and I believe it is an Aaron Russo documentary, which is kind of like a conspiracy theory documentary. This was before social media really started taking off. And basically, this documentary was just all about how the Federal Reserve was like evil as shit. The Federal Reserve is like the spawn of Satan. So that was what Aaron Russo was trying to convey. And I was a teenager, and then at the time, my dad is like on the other couch watching it with me, and he's like, this is us spending quality father-son time. Does that make sense? We're just watching this documentary about the Federal Reserve. I'm, again, a high school graduate at most. And then I can just see my dad like biting his tongue to the blood because of how fucking pissed he is at the Federal Reserve. Like, he was just fucking pissed. He was definitely like livid with what this documentary was telling him about it. And then anyways, that was like the last quality time I spent with my dad because I flew back down to Florida to go live with my mom for a couple more months. Then my dad died. My dad died that year. So I must have been 18 or 19. So the point is, Fi's first memory with his dad is him telling him this is not a toy, this is a tool, talking about the paper money. And then my last memory with him is, hey, the Federal Reserve is the goddamn, is Babylon. Does that make sense? Is new Babylon, the whore of Babylon, whatever you want to call it, right? So anyways, I tell that story so people can kind of get this quick insight into where does a five come from? Where does somebody just end up with this weird motivation to understand money and banking? It just happens to be the first lesson and the last lesson both somehow involved banking and finance. Anyways, today's my dad's birthday. He's now been dead for 17 years or so. But I just figured I would tell that story. I'll figure out how to tell that story more concisely too. But I hope you guys enjoyed it in its own way. Anyways, yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. It's great. Also, I smoked cigarettes for 12 years too. Yeah, I cannot complain about my genetics. Yeah. I'll probably look like I'm just turning 25 when I turn 50. Yep, thanks so much. Yeah, no, I would literally not. I'll tell you this. When I met Pyre Producer at this consensus event, we were talking to these guys, and literally these guys, they knew John McAfee too. One of them actually met him back in the day. They were like the oldest guys at this conference event, and they were talking to me, and they're like, the problem with this industry is how young everybody is. It's like they don't have like actual life skills. And I'm like, yeah, I completely agree. Like I've never like they don't know like the fundamentals of anything, which is why like people just think that some brand new kid is gonna wrap his head around it. And it's just not true. It's just like yeah, 100%. Because I'll tell you this, why so cynical? If I was me like 10 years ago, does that make sense? Or maybe not 10, but maybe 12 years ago, I would not have the tenacity to do this type of stuff. I would be drunk and or high and as hedonistic as as one would expect. Yeah. I don't think people realize the amount of problem solving that goes into this too. So like just the stuff that I'm talking about and like how much work it takes, a lot of people, they think that them coming up with an idea is like some sort of contribution. I'm like, I did, 12 hours a day of brainstorming 7 months ago, and people are telling me like this. Anyways, I'm not here to besmirch ideas, but quite often it's like, hey, why don't you just go win the lottery and then throw that at the token? Like that doesn't solve the problem either. Like I identified the problem on June 17th. The entire point of this genesis, by the way, was to increase the user base. Yeah, the entire point of the Genesis event was to increase the user base. Does that make sense? Everyone's like, what about volume? What about that? It's like, we don't care about any of that until we increase the user base. Yeah, I talked about it June 17th. Never change my story. Increase the user base. No other metric matters. If we don't get to like the quorum of non-colluding entities, you still haven't seen the real product yet. Does that make sense? Like you don't really see how it's supposed to go. If that makes sense. Like it's still, you're getting glimpses of it, but you're still not seeing the whole picture. It's like a puzzle. Does that make sense? Like all the pieces are there, but if anyways, we're going to solve that problem with a quickness. After this thing is done today, I can literally systemize and build the Twitter ambassador program to the point where I'm no longer bottlenecking it. Once that happens, I can then go on literally dozens and dozens of YouTube interviews in a fucking marathon. Yeah, we will definitely have we'll have more short form being produced by then too. Also cranking out from different faucets. Anyways, that's about 20 minutes. Do you guys have any other questions? Like, we're really trying to knock this out of the park. I'm going to go get a haircut. Like, I'm not even going to, I don't think it serves you guys for me to make this an hour long because all of you guys are just waiting for us to produce a thing, right? Right? Bitcoin hit 100 grand. Amazing. When Bitcoin finally crashes down to 40 or 60, like we're still going to hit targets then too, just to be clear. Anyways, okay guys. We might be making an announcement later today. If not, we're making it tomorrow. Okay guys, have a great rest of your day. I'm going to go probably not Jerry, no, probably not. Probably just a shorter version of this. And I don't have any product, but I'll try to look a little more Hollywood, a little bit. We're gonna make the video. We're gonna make the video copy look high production. We might make the background less noisy. I don't fucking know yet. Okay, everybody, have a great rest of your day, and we'll be you'll be hearing an announcement from me in the next couple days. If not, we'll see you at the next PYRESWAP show on Monday. Have a good one. Bye bye.